All right, welcome back for another week of Cramer bashing. Boy, we got some fun today. The list for buys was too long, so we're looking maybe to narrow that down a little bit. I think the plan is to hand over the call outs to my friend Matthew here, and then I'm going to dope the charts for us so we can see what kind of technical analysis to put into it, and maybe a few words of yay or nay on Kramer's calls. I think that works out. Again, I'd like to thank you guys for supporting our channel, and we appreciate all the likes and subscribes, and all of the friend telling is always appreciated as well. And just wanted to thank you for that. And just, well, we'll keep growing. We'll keep doing this. We're not going to stop. I mean, holding a 95.4% accuracy rating overall from the beginning of this series is pretty damn awesome. I'm going to injure myself, pat myself on the back for that one, but that's just what it is. We skip over a lot of the crap we don't need to trade, and we go and we call out the stuff that looks good to us. And 95% accuracy on those call outs, dude, who could ask for more? Don't call Cramer, call us. Drop us a ticker,
Exactly.
throw us something in the chat. Feel free. We will help you out. That's what we're here for. All right, moving on. I'm going to go over SPY real quick, and then we're going to go over and see if we can bash Cramer a little bit. So my drawing's a little funny. I drew these fan lines on a 1 minute chart, and this is great for choppy days. You can just scalp the tar out of SPY. It's what we do with the bullish bears. Every morning we scalp. Drawing on SPY, we'll be able to scalp SPY options as well as ES and even NQ futures based on this price action right here. So this is kind of a little taste of how I make some quick analysis work out of day trading, and this has been doing very well for my ability to turn my risk capital into portfolio growth. I'll just tell you that. Um, this strategy runs with equities too, and I teach a lot about how to do that in our group. So if you guys are interested in learning what these are all about and why my chart always looks so nasty, this is why. So you gotta tune in to find out. Anyway, moving into long-term stuff with SPY, we got a couple liquidity zones to worry about. We're looking for range in here, which is obviously a fib level. So is this one. We're looking at the 86.3 and the 76.3s, both in range here. And the first target for the day is about 519.90 to 520, and we might melt up and start finding some sellers around 521.50. Just looking at this liquidity range, looking left on our chart, easy to find. Um, we also see that as a pretty much 1.5 measured move. So there's your primary, secondaries done. The 1.5 would be right up here at about 521.50. So it makes sense. Extension, well, if we see a breach of this range up here, we'll find some new all-time highs out of that. Never mind the mess sticking out of this mess. But looking here, we're probably going to resist this area and pull back if we're likely to see anything kind of accumulate. That's the healthy place to do it. And then we'd love to see a breakout and start running for new all-time highs. But for now, going to be some volatility to trade for sure, to say the least. And in the long run, the market just continues to kind of melt up all along anyway. I mean, anybody can look left on a weekly and monthly chart and say, yeah, dude, just never buy SPY puts. Just trade it long forever. you know, we scalp it both ways. We don't care. But the idea is this trend is strength, and it doesn't always represent the economy. It's just the S&P. We just scalp it. This is how we generate our wealth and our income. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some stuff that Kramer's talking about and see if we can maybe find a few swing trades out of it. What's first on your radar?
Yeah. So, and if anyone doesn't watch Cramer, Fridays he does his week ahead game plan, and during earnings season, that's just pure gold. You want Cramer to give his opinion on stocks going into earnings. So last Friday he gave his game plan, and we can kind of run through that. The first one he talked about was Tyson, which I think reported on Monday. Um, if you look at the chart, that was an interesting candle
What's the
on
ticker?
Monday. Got as low as 56.22 after closing at 62. So at one point down down about 10%.
No kidding. That's
So
a Kramer bar if I ever saw one. Woohoo!
yeah.
It's made the mean reversion too, which is cool today. Is I'm assuming he's probably still saying buy, buy, buy on the darn thing. Ooh,
That
let's
I
see.
don't know. He hasn't mentioned it since. When he gets an earnings call horrifically wrong, I
It's
don't think he
quiet.
often comes back and wants to talk about that again.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing to be proud of. I guess from an analysis standpoint, overall, yeah, sure, the company makes money. I mean, anybody can look left on the chart and figure things out, but we look at technical points of interest, and when we see this as just basically it's at a mean reversion and it's doubled back on it, so it's likely to accumulate here for a while, I think. Although he made a horrible call on the earnings plan, and a lot of people
Yeah.
probably chased it and got burned, unfortunately. The traders are all over that because they were ready to short the Cramer bar, obviously. And then coming back for a mean reversion is just icing on the cake. I mean, we can trade back to the middle. In fact, the most common setup that any day trader and or swing trader looks for is a reversion trade. They're the most easy things to find. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Your price targets are right there in the chart. Um, about $60.25 seems to be about the mean for this current earnings call with or breadth, as you will, or about the middle of the Cramer bottle. I'll just call it that. um, it kind of lines up with the weekly chart mean reversion as well into a bottom range. Can this expand out and finish the rest of this weekly range bar and hit like 63.40? It can, but I wouldn't hold my breath right now. I'd be looking to probably cover profit from my long position if I bought the bottom on this thing. And I'll wait and see around 60 and a quarter to see if it consolidates and finishes that move to the high, or if it rejects here and starts to slide down into more market capitalization at this point, and we could see it hit like 56 for a bear target pretty easily. So I'll mark that out. 56 and a quarter. There we go. About the mean of this trend. So yeah, if you're if you're looking at the Cramer bar, it wicked exactly to that target. So
Mhm.
I mean, this has met both targets really rapidly, really volatile. I like the attention that Cramer brought to it, but I definitely got to say, shame on you, man. Why the hell would you tell people to buy that just before earnings? No, never buy into earnings. Always be able to trade it, but never just up and buy it.
Well,
Come
you
on.
only buy into earnings if Kramer tells you not to.
That's true too. That's true too.
Yeah.
And from my standpoint, I love selling options into earnings because the implied volatility from the earnings itself will give it a much broader stroke of where the options range is for the edges. So I'll sell the edges. And it's typically where I sell options and just make a killing on both implied volatility crushed the following day, as well as if I get a sign, I'm not going to care because I'm either going to get called away for a massive profit or I'm going to get assigned shares at a perfect low and get paid to do it. It makes sense to me. Sell options. Uh, would I do that on a Kramer call though? Yeah, maybe. Maybe if he says sell it. What's next on the radar there?
All right, we got some big losers, but we'll give them a winner. Simon Property Group, we like them. They've come up.
What's the ticker on SG?
SPG, sorry.
Took me a minute. I've got a lot of them memorized, but not all of them. Yeah, you actually made a good call on that one. Assuming you said buy it.
Yeah,
That's a bullish
yeah,
Kramer
yeah,
bar.
popped
Those are
above the 50-year moving average.
those are pretty rare, but we do see them from time to time. And hey, man, we're not above giving credit where credit is due. I'll certainly give them a little kudo on that one. Let's call out some price targets though. How about let's see if we find some sellers right in here around the 150.40 range. That's kind of a perfect mean reversion for. Oops, keep doing that. This previous trend here, from high to low and back, it's a little bit above the middle. There's certainly a pivot right about here at the base of that. So we can get the short term, the long term, and the range. And I love trading range. Range is also easy to scalp. It's one of the other go-tos for traders. And traders control the range typically. So we got a liquidity zone for sellers up here around 150.30, 151, somewhere in that range. We got a pivot right here that we've kind of stepped to in the open, stepped one move above and hit those sellers, came back, reverted half that trend. So we can look at a midpoint in the middle of the day here and be like, okay, well, we either get a midday swing back to the high for a quick scalp into the close for day traders, or we start to accumulate down here and maybe we'll make a decision to either stay long in this for a swing trade or start taking profit. But if this ends up looking like a reversal in the daily chart, that's where you're concerned. So the long-term investment guys, if you did buy the bottom and you did buy when Cramer said to buy, yeah, you did pretty good to take profit here. That was a good little swing trade. Long-term investors though, careful. That's a bit parabolic. It's likely to pull back and accumulate here. So I would probably wait for it to hit the
Yep.
low end of that range first, and then maybe consider a longer position. Good stuff though. I'll give him credit. That was a good buy.
All right. Well, now back to our regularly scheduled program. The next was Disney, where he said we should get some really good numbers from Disney, which we didn't.
No. I was just saying before the call here. I had a friend who was all about being long on Disney. He did add his position a little bit yesterday, but I think he bought it a little too soon as well. So he kind of had to average some of that. And I mean, let me turn my drawings off. That's a pretty obvious head and shoulders top there for most people who just trade patterns. We've eaten up almost half that gap so far. It's looking like a decent short is still on. Oh man, would I have bought that? No. That's a Cramer bar for sure. And there it is. Bam. Look at that sell. Right in rhythm with our measured move targets. Yeah, I just, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I can see there's a mean reversion target back here on Disney. It's going to be a little while before it shakes out. It's certainly easy to scalp the bullish move out of this thing. I love trading Disney, but I never really loved the idea of investing long in it. I don't like the options premium on it, so it's not something I feel trade. It's something I more or less scalp spreads or equity or whatever I want to trade. Um, I'm pretty sure a lot of portfolios are still short on this, and I'm looking for a mean reversion down to like 95 bucks. That's pretty obvious on the chart there. But eventually, it's got to consolidate and maybe hit that 128.60. But I think it's going to probably require new management to get there. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think so. It's going to require a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think
Go
it's safe
woke,
to
go
just
broke, as I
drag
like to
that.
say.
Yeah, no kidding. That's the whole thing. It's like you get companies involved with politics and gosh, all the ridiculousness in that field is just it's taboo. You touch it, you die. Might as well stay out of it and just give your investors something to look forward to, not something to sit and fight about. You know, that's really a management decision, and I wonder how many boardroom meetings were put together to make these decisions. I gotta say they kind of failed their fiduciary responsibilities to say the least. That's a big word to say,
Yep.
big thing to say about Disney, but the chart
Mhm.
doesn't lie, man. Ever since this political move, I mean, they've been just sucking horribly. I mean, you can't
Yes, they have.
you can't really say much more than that. I mean, this has been quite the chop. The old rumor of Apple buying Disney just keeps coming bouncing around. I hate hearing that damn thing. It's just a bunch of smoke. But
Mhm.
if ever there was a time, it would be about now. Not saying it'll happen ever, but you know what? I guess there's a possibility of maybe it was on purpose so it would make it more desirable to be sold out, so these guys can just go home and go work somewhere else
Maybe.
and retire. Who knows? Maybe that's their boardroom decisions. I gotta say though, I love trading Disney. It's easy. It's like the most easy price action to trade on most things aside from SPY. So I love trading. I don't like investing. Um, just Kramer said buy it, and it took a massive dive like that on an obvious reversal pattern. Well, that's just water for the river to flow. And yeah, capital is making its move, like you know, water around a rock in a stream. Oh, well, I guess we can continue as our normal plan and start moving down the chain. What the
Yeah. All right. The next one he called out was Win, Winn. That also tanked. It's come back today. So, if you held on, then, you're not totally messed up.
WINN?
Winn.
WYN, that's right. I hit an I, my bad. I was gonna say that doesn't look like the right chart. Yee. Yeah, I mean it's got a bit of a potential reversal here. Let's do some dirt on this one. I haven't looked at this in a long time actually. It's been probably, oh, you know what? It's in my other account. I've got some dope on it. So I remember trading it a while back. I remember trading this trend. Um, this looks like a giant M top on the weekly starting to form out, and it's got some range trades in it for sure. There's mean reversion right about here, and we've kind of went through it. We've made a reversion on this trend. Let's go to the daily. Potential for a head and shoulders reversal with a neckline right up here. And let's throw some 2-hour charts on that. Liquidity is easy. There's sellers right there, and there's buyers down here. Those two pivots are going to be the key moments. So for traders, we can look for some swings, maybe break back to a fib level just under that high. So looking for like that 86.3 fib is right at the base out liquidity zone. So right around 99.50 would be a good bull target if it breaches this key pivot here at about 97.90. I would say that would be the green zone to go. If it rejects there, it might be a good short right back to support about 96.60. So it's got some range. I'll give it that. But yeah, Cramer definitely effed up the call on that one, man. There's no
Yeah.
better way to say it. Um, and, the economy doesn't necessarily match the market. We know that. But we also know that the consumer is still pretty stressed in high interest revolving debt when it comes to like leisurely activities. Not everybody can afford to go to a resort right now and blow up the credit card bill. I'm kind of wondering how this is going to play out into into the rest of this year and into the summer because it's kind of
Yeah, I
likely,
think I think the consumer's screwed, but it may take a while for that to filter through into the economy.
right? I mean, for now, I mean, we look at some of the credit lenders and their stock prices are soaring, but that's because people are struggling to pay those bills, but they're still paying them, and the interest premiums just keep coming in. I got to wonder at what point that breaks and default starts to happen, and that's where the concern is. And I mean, you got the headwinds in the market are kind of starting to show their head for that sector. The consumer is definitely in a bad spot. A lot of families I know are just keeping above water at this point. But I mean, one slight catastrophe and everybody's going to be super stressed. So if there's something that is going to be majorly stressful in the economy coming up soon, I think that's going to make a much more dramatic impact on market prices, especially with high interest lenders, leisurely activities, and the basic staples will take a hit too. It's going to happen. So definitely be careful. Beware of the consumer. The consumers are stressed,
Yeah.
just about at their limit, and this has been building up. We've seen this since the end of 2020. We kind of figured it out. We've been talking about this all along. Um, we're not like the rest of the chickens, though. We don't sit around and collect that the sky's going to be falling anytime soon. We know we can just trade the chart in the meantime, but there's been a lot of analysts saying, "Oh my gosh, this market's going to be bearish. This market's going to be bearish." I've been telling us this for damn near 4 years now. Hasn't done anything yet. So we'll see if eventually they're right. I guess like a broken clock, but at the same time, uh, they got to put their finger into a few more areas of the market to figure that out. Maybe they'll eventually give us a clue as to where to trade. But for now, I think we're looking at some of the discretionaries are starting to show some cracks. So just be a little concerned with that as far as trading and economic uh, your economic weather vane go into play there. Hmm. I did a little research on what was it, Constellation Brands last week.
Yeah, he loves that one.
What was the ticker for that one?
STZ.
That's right. I know he called that one out last week, or not last week, the week before. He was very gung ho on it. So that was when we got a pretty nasty Cramer bar on it. But now we're looking for
Yeah.
having met our reversion
It's
target.
it's totally retraced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering, and that is, both a staple and a leisurely activity, you know. Um, and I personally, I love Corona. I'm, after an average of 3 to 4 times a week. That's just my go-to. I just enjoy a beer after dinner. It's just great. Um, I don't buy a lot of Corona, but I know there's a lot of people who do. And this is kind of an interesting thing. I mean, we saw some transference from like everybody going nuts about shorting Budweiser or just taking their investments out of Budweiser and putting them into this one. And I wonder when the tables are going to flip on that because this certainly got some steam to it. Cramer did give a bad call on the last bar and we got the pullback, but the retracement's done. Looking long term, for investors, I would say we are looking at the possibility of continuation here. I mean, the trend is still pretty strong behind it. It's made its retracement targets pretty readily. I would say short term, we're looking for push to about 264 or so, just the next bar back in the series. Will it breach
I'd
this?
want to see it break the 50-day. It tried and failed so far.
Yeah, and there's your 50-day, the green line right here. So, and that's right in that reversion. So if it does break that 260.60, we could see a push up a little higher. But if it rejects here, it might end up being a little bit of a short. So um, I would say that I think Kramer's probably going to start talking about this one either by this weekend or maybe going into next week. So we can see another Kramer bar on this, I'm sure. Oh man. And then the other one you were wanting to talk about was actually on your mailer list here. Um, MRK was it, or was it the other one? Oh, what was that pharmaceutical? Dang it!
So last night he made an analogy between what's going on with utilities and why you should buy pharmaceutical companies, which
Gotcha.
didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, maybe there's a relationship there that I never knew about. Um, so and he threw out a couple he likes and then one he didn't, which the one he didn't was Bristol Myers.
That was it.
I think
Bristol
he said
Myers.
he liked Merck. I forget what else he said he liked,
MRK. He
but I
was
think you said you liked Bristol Myers.
he was all about buying MRK, and of course we got a quick sell off in the pre-market here. I mean, shoot, it touched like 127.87 there in a low, bounced right back for a mean reversion. So I'm a little skeptical on this one to continue. And that was the one he liked. And then, as you were saying, Bristol Myers is one he said sell. So I wanted to do a quick comparison. Um, kind of curious to see if it gets above today's 2 hour high. Eh, I could say maybe it'll make a move later, but we certainly see the Kramer bar in this thing. It definitely got a quick sell. Um, kind of stabilized right around a mean reversion as well. Don't know if I want to give him kudos on that one yet. We're also seeing a nice wedge here, so let's pay attention to the weekly. I would say if this accumulates and breaks this wedge, sure, we could see it go higher for the long run for investors. So maybe we give them like a quarter kudo pending next week. But you go and you do the comparison on Bristol Myers, and it's like all of a sudden you kind of wonder why the hell would he like one and not the other?
Well,
But
I know I can see why he doesn't like Bristol Myers, which actually, I mean, as a dip buyer, I like Bristol Myers if it can break above the 10-day here.
yeah, I'd agree. And that's already made a nice clean measured move down. So I mean the reversion target would be about
Merck,
48.
I don't like. I mean, Merck for me is just going nowhere.
Yeah, it's just
Bristol
chunky.
Myers could be a retrace.
Oh, for sure. And then the bigger picture, though, is a little concerning. Like the weekly chart here, we got this massive bear trend that accumulated. Gave us the pop and drop bear flag, I love to call it. There's your weekly bar, met that 86.3 fib level of that bar with a wick and shot down like a rocket. I can see why Cramer doesn't like it because I remember him being a bit bullish about Bristol Myers not too long ago. Um,
Yeah.
can we see it kind of accumulate in this range here? And gosh, if this thing gets down to like 38 bucks, then it would be a good buy. But for now, I think retracement is likely in the short term. So watch for maybe a short term reversal here to retrace this and then go south. But 48.50 is a bull target on that for sure. Just need this accumulation to break and give it back. And then I also like to kind of mark an area of about half of that range. So like, right in here, about 46.40 or so would be a good breakout target. But this is like still sliding in a trend. So, definitely be aware of the go no go area. Let's see here, 2 hour chart right about there. So if we can break above, $44 here, we might make a quick run to the next previous high and eventually accumulate into a reversal and go for a retracement. But I like it for retracement in the long run, if this, then that. So I'm going to watch for this range to break first and give some follow through. Because, I mean, yeah, we could definitely say, okay, he's a little late to the I don't like it anymore. And then we get the inverse Cramer bar. So he said, sell it yesterday. Here's your buyers. you know, yeah, that's a tough call for me. I don't know if I would trade either of them, even though he dislikes this one and likes the other one. It's kind of they're both kind of setting up for either reversion or a break. And then to relate that to the energy companies, I don't know why the hell he even referenced that. Uh, sometimes the man just doesn't make any sense. Well,
A
that's
lot of times he doesn't make any sense.
that's an understatement. A lot of, yeah, most of the time. um, Another one I was kind of eyeballing on my side was Dutch Brothers. I mean, that was a killer earnings call. And then all of a sudden Kramer says buy it, and here we are looking a little bit higher. Can this continue to run up? Well, it's already pretty parabolic, guys. So I mean, if you're going to try and buy it here, you might miss the boat. That
I'm
earnings call.
I'm 95% sure he was negative on this going into earnings. I remember someone calling him about it, and I thought he told him not to buy it. And of course, now that it's popped, he loves it. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, beware the big broadening pattern on a weekly chart. So I mean, yeah, it'll play in the range. But if you're an investor, I'd wait for this to settle a little bit before I go chasing this. This is someone else's dream right here. This is a whole bunch of FOMO. Um, I might see something like this. Like if you're looking for the base of the earnings bar, go about halfway up the trend. It kind of settles, and you can see the wick from this morning nailed it. If we hold this area around 3150, we could see this thing accumulate and continue higher. But if it breaches that, I mean, that could be your no-go for longs and maybe a good short for reverting back to the top of the bar here, like 3087. Um, yeah, I mean, I said about a quarter kudo maybe on this one instead of half. But it's going to be watch next week and see if he's going to be bearish on it again. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So if you do call
yeah,
Cramer frequently and you get through, ask him about it next week. Let's see what he says. That will make a good, interesting broadcast for us.
yes, it would.
Oh man, good price action.
Yeah, don't forget Roblox. Roblox was another one he liked.
Yeah, that was fun. Let me get the dope on that one. Oops. Yow. There's a Cramer bar. Holy smokes. That has got to be one of the worst calls he's made in a long time, right? Whew.
Yeah, considering, let's see. So if you had bought it on Monday at the open, yeah, 39.58, so you'd be down 9 points.
That's rough, man. Ouch. I hope nobody followed Kramer into that suggestion. I really do, because because that's definitely
I heard Kathy Wood did, but that's a whole different story.
funny you should mention her. I was going to say, we might start doing the show and kind of compare the two of them, and maybe I'm not saying expose them or throw them under the bus, but like just kind of being able to make easy inverse scalps on pretty much anything those two say. I almost swear they call each
Yep.
other. There was a meme going around going into the Nvidia earnings that blew everybody out of the water. The meme was like Cramer on the phone with Kathy Wood saying, "I think you should sell Nvidia here. It's too high." And boom, it just went through the roof. So I mean, it'd be funny to correlate the two and come up with some even more accurate call outs on our part, so to speak. We can literally trade their bars, and this is the biggest Cramer bar I've seen in a long time. That's a big drop, buddy. Can we see this thing retrace a little? Maybe we could see, a quick reversion trade back to where there were previously sellers in here. Um, Maybe we get almost half a bar back, but usually these dead cats don't quite do that. We've already got the dead cat bounce pretty much done for the day. You can see this pretty often. If it flags and give us a measured move outside of this high here, sure, we could see this thing trend a little higher, but maybe make that half back. But I think it'll likely reject here and come back to this base for range or pretty close. Maybe it'll split the difference around 28.80. So for day traders, this will be all over the radar for people to scalp, either long or short based on this current flag. I always apply that 60-40 rule to flags, and this after a dead cat bounce is pretty obvious. Usually these are going to be biased 60-40, 60% chance of follow through, 40% chance of failure. In this case, I would say this one's inverse. It's going to be 60% chance of breaking bearish, at least to pull back here, and probably 40% chance of follow through for a mean reversion on that big bar, on that big Cramer bar. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to wear that out. Cramer bar. I'm published in the Urban Dictionary for a few words. I might add that one. I'll do that today. I'll make that a project. I'll write a quick description of the Cramer bar and put it in the Urban Dictionary just for fun. I'll post a link.
There you go.
Oh man, another one. He was saying buy if we got a minute. He was looking at a couple obvious ones like Walmart and Costco. Here's Walmart.
Yeah, he always likes those.
It's been trending. It's made a pretty clear measured move here. It's got a 2-for-1 up here. It's at resistance. I'd say there might be some sellers here to take some profit on that move, and it would make me wonder if it didn't. I could see it making maybe a mean reversion down to about $56 here. So in the near future, if we can't break this high or get through this liquidity zone, or as we would call it, a supply zone, look for reversion. And about halfway, there's about a gap right there too. So yeah, you know, we might get a good chance to go long on Walmart eventually, but the bears are looking to short this, I think. And Cramer did say buy it yesterday, and well, here we are seeing some sellers show their head here. So watch for a breakover and maybe a reversion trade or two to be in the short term. Also mark about half of that too. You can see that's purely a nice 1-for-1 up and reversions right here about 59.50ish. So easy targets for this one. I love trading Walmart when it's got volatility. Choppy ranges are my thing when it comes to that. Don't necessarily like the options income on it, and I don't wheel trade this one, but I do definitely scalp it every now and then. But it's a pretty obvious possibility here of if you kind of squint, it's meant type of thing. You can almost see a rounding bottom here for a cup and handle. So if by chance it pulls back to this mean and starts to find support around 59.50, it could give you the handle, and then a breakout would be pushing through this range here. It's possible in the future this could go higher. And Kramer
Could
likes it
be.
a lot.
Not my favorite, but
Yeah, a lot of investors like this stock. I mean, obviously they know how to make money. You look left all the way back to the beginning, and they've just been
oh yeah.
they get their pullbacks occasionally, but for the most part, it just looks a lot like the S&P to me. So For investors, it's a good opportunity to watch this level. We may see it melt through that zone. Of course, be cautious for your entries here. Don't feel like you're going to miss the boat if you can't catch the breakout, if it does break out of this cup and handle here. But certainly be aware that it's got some ranges to get to for reversions beforehand. So you might get better opportunities if you're just patient and wait for the opportunity to either go long and invest in this thing and run it up the chain, or maybe it becomes a short for some traders and then find support down here. It's going to be kind of in the mix as far as we're concerned. We're going to be looking at the trading opportunities on this in the near future. So traders will control it for now. Investors, well, you're probably going to want to wait on this one. So if you're trying to follow Cramer and he said buy it, I'm going to go and buy it, hold it forever. Now's not the time. Wait patiently. This measured move is pretty obvious. Got time for one more? Maybe you want to mention, or should we wrap it up? Because we've called out quite a few already.
See if there's anything really good here. Um,
I got a piece of oatmeal stuck in my teeth. Sorry, making all kinds of noise.
we say Airbnb?
We said it. I don't think I looked at it.
All right, that was another one of his earnings call outs. That's down almost 7% today.
Ouch. There's another Cramer bar. Telling you,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that up in the Urban Dictionary. It's going. Let's look at this support area. Pretty obvious. We got a nice one for one. There's a range on it. It peaked over. Kramer said buy. There's your Kramer bar. Let's look at a weekly on this one. Airbnb is kind of a dicey investment if I'm not mistaken.
He always likes this one, but
I mean, I like the concept. I like the idea. It's certainly seen some controversy lately. There's certainly been some complaints about the company, but eventually they'll work their stuff out, and it's still profitable. It's still a very innovative thing to do with the whole concept of renting out your properties in this fashion. Um, as a company, I like the concept. I like the opportunities for trading some of the volatility. It has a decent options chain, so I do like the premium in it. I'm not currently in a position on it, but I think I might be kind of keeping an eye on this one for some long-term stuff to maybe make a wheel trade or two out of it. But I'm going to be very carefully watching this zone between these two areas, about 140 to 147, and maybe we'll see if there's some opportunities to trade it before there are some opportunities to invest in it. So I mean, I don't want to pull a Kramer and say I like the company, buy it. I don't go buying a car because it's shiny. I come from a mechanical background. I know what's under the hood and how it works. So oftentimes my friends come hit me up. Hey man, can you come look at a car with me? Because they want to make sure they're not buying junk. Well, stocks are the same, and just because it looks shiny and it looks like a good concept and a good innovative technology company doesn't always mean it's a long-term investment right away. You're certainly going to see the market structure do its thing, and it's kind of choppy at this rate, but it's done most of its thing, and it's kind of reverted back to, splitting the difference here and coming up with a mean reversion of this big, huge move. So yeah, it's got potential, but I mean, I think I'm going to wait here for some trading opportunities first. Maybe some opportunities to make fun of Kramer for calling this a buy, and then eventually this will be a worthwhile company to invest in probably. But for now, it's going to be in the hands of traders, and we are going to do what we do best. We're going to just scalp it, and we're not going to have any feelings about the company whatsoever. We'll kick the tires. We'll maybe take it for a test drive, but we're certainly not going to buy the car just yet. And that's just where we're at. Um, I would say that was probably one right along Roblox. That's probably one of the worst calls he's made in a long time. So we can certainly throw some shade on the guy for that. But
yeah. And again, I mean, I would just tell people watch Friday night for that game plan.
agreed.
There
I
are
think
always some gems in there.
I think next week we're going to have some great opportunities to make that happen. And I almost want to do like maybe a Monday segment of just a quick analysis breakdown for what to expect for earnings. I'll pick that list over and see if we can get
Yeah.
some good ideas.
Now, just remember the cool thing about doing that list on a Thursday is you get to see how it worked out versus doing it on a Monday where you don't know.
Right. And that's the challenge where like we can see where they worked out. We can plot reversion trades real easy. That's what traders watch for. That contributes greatly to our high success rate of calling out some accurate price targets for sure. It's kind of the other reason why I like to do this on a Thursday because that's where the opportunities are. Mondays are certainly uncertain. I'm sure we would probably fall right in the mean range of like high 60s, low 70s for accuracy percentages if we did this on Mondays. So Thursday's the better day to call out these things in general, and also as a trader, it's better to watch, on a Thursday and start putting your ideas together because you're a trader. Your own analysis is what counts. Um, but I've often thought about like going into earnings and stuff and just kind of picking stuff over, but it certainly takes a lot more work too. You got to do some fundamental analysis and combine it with your technical analysis when it comes to trading earnings. I've rarely ever done that. Typically, I'm hands off on earnings unless I'm selling options or unless I'm like extremely convinced that I like the setup and the move. That's happened a time or two for me with Tesla. But am I still holding Tesla? Not all the way. I'm still selling some options on it, but I'm also moving into TSLT for leverage. So I'll scalp TSLT on one account, and then I'm looking to wheel trade that in the other account as soon as the bid ask tightens up a little bit. I think it'll be perfect. So I'm still holding a long position in that account at a very low price when it hit that low. I'll just sit on it until I'm ready to sell some options on it. Plain and simple.
Very
But
cool.
earnings are awesome for volatility, and volatility is what pays the bills for traders. So I mean, when we're running stuff like that, we want to be careful with what we call out. We're very, very picky about that. So like if we were to do a Monday show, we would probably go through about 10 or 20 tickers and only find one or two that we like. That's how it's going to be. So it's probably
Yeah.
more in our best interest as well as our viewers' best interest because a lot of our viewers are primarily newer traders or in general retail traders, and it comes to a point of we want to be careful not to lead people into destruction. We don't want to pull a Cramer. So here we are. We'd rather do this on a Thursday to come up with some better setups and higher probability trades, and that's what we're all about. So maybe I might do a Monday session at some point going into earnings like this. If I have time, I'll do something. If you're available, cool. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Let me know.
maybe tag something, and then go from there. But kind of play it by ear. So keep your eyes peeled next week. At the very least, we'll at least have a list of maybe a couple trade ideas we can throw out there, and we'll go from there.
There we
Kind of
go.
kind of haphazard and spontaneous is what you get from us. But Thursdays we'll be here as often as we can, and occasionally, you have some meetings and stuff to get to. I understand that. So if you're absent, most of the time I'll just fill in and we'll pick the list over. But we'll play it. Thanks again for joining us, and certainly appreciate your likes and subscribes. Be sure to tell your friends, and maybe brag about how good we are at calling out price action. Because man, we've nailed some killer trades here. And if you guys stick around and even reach out to us, we're willing to help anytime. We have absolutely nothing better to do than to trade, and we love getting into this. Someone tells me my mic is glitching pretty bad. I apologize for that. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to get rid of the headset so I can look a little more professional. But we'll deal with that. All right. Thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon.